Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to our program, True Traits of Believers. 13 traits. Trait number 2. So, brothers and sisters, trait number 2 is a believer is totally and unreservedly committed to universal justice. Now, universal justice is not a simple concept that we can just brush it aside and use lip service and maybe not even define it for ourselves. We must define it. What is justice? And why is justice so important? You know, brothers and sisters, let me tell you a beautiful story. A story of Ali ibn Abi Talib radiyallahu anhu. Ali ibn Abi Talib was the Khalifa of the Muslim world, Amir al-Mu'mineen. One day he was walking along the market, and in the market he saw a Jewish man selling his coat. Ali said to the Jewish man, "Excuse me, that is my coat. Where did you get this coat from and why are you selling it?" The Jewish man said, "No, that's my coat. I'm selling it." Ali said, "No, that's my coat." The Jewish man said, "No, that's my coat." So they had an argument or a dispute. In those days, whenever there was a dispute between two parties, they would go to a third party for arbitration. In Islamic countries, we call it Islamic courts. So Ali said to the man, "Okay, let's go to the Qadi, the judge." They both went to the Qadi, and Ali said to the Qadi that my coat is being sold by this man in a market. I didn't give it to him. I didn't sell it to him. He has no right to do that. He should give it back to me. Qadi looked at the trader and said, "Is this true?" The man said, "No, this is my coat. This is my jacket. I'm selling it and I would like to make some money out of it. He is claiming it to be his. What's his proof?" So the Qadi said to Ali ibn Abi Talib, "Okay, Ali, since you are claiming it to be yours, the burden of providing the proof is on your shoulder. What evidence do you have to say this is your coat?" Ali said, "Well, my son Hassan is my witness. He can come to this court and testify that this is my coat." You know what the Qadi said? Wow, it will just knock you out if you hear this. Qadi said, "Amir al-Mu'mineen, your son's evidence is inadmissible to court of law. It's your son. He will of course be biased. I'm sorry, I can't accept him as a witness. Do you have anybody else?" Ali said, "No." The judge then said, "I'm really sorry, but I'm ruling against you in favor of the trader." And he gave the coat to the trader saying, "Go ahead, do as you like." When this dispute was resolved, the Jewish man got up and said, "Your Honor, I would like to say something. I am really sorry, but I was lying. This coat actually belongs to Ali. He was walking along the road and he dropped it, and I found it, and I'm selling it now. But I came to this court thinking the Qadi is being paid by Ali, who is the Amir al-Mu'mineen. Surely there will be no justice today. Surely the Qadi will not even look at me, not even ask a question twice, but give the coat away to the ruler of the Muslim world, Ali ibn Abi Talib." But that didn't happen. I saw a process of justice that I've never seen before. And if this is true Islam, then I have no hesitation in accepting it. Brothers and sisters, justice in Islam is paramount. Everything is about justice. Allah says in the Quran, "i'dilu huwa aqrabu lit-taqwa." Be just, for that is the closest to Allah consciousness. Allah doesn't say that about prayer. He doesn't say, "Sallu hiya aqrabu lit-taqwa." He doesn't say, "Sumu," pray, fast, and this is the closest to taqwa. Pray, that is the closest to taqwa. Allah says, no, i'dilu. The only time He uses that verse, in that phrase, in that way in the Quran is this: be just, for that is the closest you can be in attaining taqwa. If all of our life's effort is about attaining taqwa, my dear brothers and sisters, the best way to do it is by being just. What is justice? I'm sure you're asking. But before I define what is justice, let me give you another side of justice. Allah says, "And let not your hatred of other people sway you from serving justice." In other words, if other people do wrong and you've got hatred in your heart about them and against them, always remain just and fair. No matter what you experience on this earth, no matter who does what, you must always be fair and just. Brothers and sisters, justice is not just essential, but justice is the sole reason why the entire Sharia has been evolved and developed. My brothers and sisters, I believe we have forgotten the concept of justice. In fact, more Muslims find injustice in the Muslim majority countries, and that's why they flee those countries to come and find shelter and home in Europe and the West. Because in the West and in Europe, they find justice. In fact, you know what, brothers and sisters, you'll be surprised. In the Muslim world, there are many Muslims, but very little Islam today. In the Western world, there are very few Muslims, but a lot of Islamic practices in the social system, in the just and fair system, and that is what Islam requires you and I to do in everything that we do. So justice must be served at our houses, in the way we deal with our parents, in the way we deal with our wife, with our husband, in the way we deal with our children, in the way we deal with our workers, the employees, the staff, in the way we deal with our neighbors, in the way we deal with the world. We must always be just. There is no excuse from being just. Absolutely none. We have to always serve just. Let me ask you an example. Did you know if justice is for you to put your rubbish out every Friday so that the dustman can take it, and if the concept of collection of rubbish has been given to you with a clear description of recycling, and you mix them all up and put them in one bin and you don't recycle, you're being unjust. Because you have been asked by your local authority to recycle, and you're not recycling. You become unjust straight away. If you're praying, for example, and you stand in prayer, and there is a person next to you, and you're disturbing them by your bad breath, your smoke-filled breath that you've just smoked and come inside the mosque, your body smelling of cigarette, the person who is trying to focus in prayer can't focus in prayer because of the bad breath, because of the smell that is coming out of your clothes. Your house has not been ventilated, so your clothes are smelling of curry maybe. It's unjust. It's called injustice to your brother or your sister who's praying next to you. If you're going to the mosque to pray, and if your socks is not fresh and it's smelling, and the person behind you is about to stand for prayer, or is going in sujood for prayer, and they cannot focus in their sajda because of the smell coming out of your socks, unjust. If you've been unkind to your parents, that's unjust. If you've been rude to your wife, it's unjust. If you've been rude to your neighbor, that's unjust. If you've been unkind and rude to your children, again, injustice. So to understand the concept of justice is to understand Islam. To practice and implement justice in our life fully is to fully understand Islam. And for those of us who are committed to universal justice, not just for justice at home, not just justice around our own families, but for everybody, regardless of their background, regardless of their religion, ethnicity, nationality, and color, and any other traits for that matter they may have. Everyone deserves justice. And that is the bottom line to understanding our commitment to universal justice. And that's exactly what Allah says when He says, "i'dilu huwa aqrabu lit-taqwa." Be just, be fair, for that is being closest. That is the closest state of being Allah conscious. My brothers and sisters, it is easy to pray 5 times a day. It is easy to fast in the month of Ramadan. It is easy to give zakat from our wealth. I tell you, it is very, very difficult to be just. Because justice requires a degree of selflessness. Justice requires a degree of consciousness. Justice requires a total alertness and attentiveness to what you want to do and how you want to do them. So brothers and sisters, we are going to, of course, continue with our conversation about how to attain justice practically in our life. And we'll do that straight after the break. So inshallah, stay with us to understand how to practically understand, practice, and implement justice in our lives, in the lives of people around us. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.